morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Mission, Texas, the butterfly capital of the U.S. Today's verse is 1 John 4:21. And this commandment we have from him, that the one who loves God should love his brother also. Well, today I'd like to take us on a journey, hopefully from hating our brother to loving our brother. And let's see how this goes. First of all, if I say, I don't like this guy at church, he drives me crazy, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm in the flesh. You could ask me, well, what's the problem? I would probably say, well, it's all his fault, and I'm sure you would probably roll your eyes and think, well, it's probably not all his fault. Granted, it is possible that the source of conflict could be all on one side, but it's not likely. It takes two to tangle, and I think that I'm probably at least partially at fault, if not equally at fault with my brother. So let's look at a couple of cross-references that bring this to light. The first one you don't see quoted very often. Mark 7:8. Neglecting the commandment of God, you hold to the tradition of men. And the reason I bring this one up is, what is the commandment of God? The number one and number two commandment. You know this. The number one commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, strength, and might. Okay? And number two, love your neighbor as yourself, which should follow very easily from number one. So what is the commandment of God? To love. And neglecting the love commandment of God, you hold to the traditions of men, which means you're doing you're doing what humans want to do, which is satisfying the flesh. And that's really the big source. Let's look at another source here. James 4:1. What is the source of quarrels and conflicts among you? Is not the source your pleasures that wage war in your members? Basically, again, I want to do things my way, according to my flesh. I don't want to sacrifice for anyone else. And that's usually the source. All right? We have to get over that. So back to our main verse. Whoops. So it says again, this commandment we have from him, the one who loves God should love his brother also. Now, I might grudgingly admit that, okay, I'm at least partially at fault in this. I admit that. And it says, I should love my brother also. So, okay, I'll try to love him. Well, of course, if I say I try to love him, then I'm using human efforts. And in today's verse, it says, the one who loves God should love his brother also. That word should is actually not in the original Greek. In the original Greek, it's basically the one who loves God, love his brother also. And the idea of should might be implied, but not implied as human efforts. Which now brings us to the best part of all, because the beginning of today's verse says, this commandment we have from him. Remember, commandment. God commanded, let there be light, and there was light. That's saying God has the power to say, let there be love in this guy, and there will be love. Now, why isn't there sometimes love in my heart? Only because I will my own fleshly desires, and that gets in the way. So as long as I'm an open vessel, and I say, God, you can have it all, any hurt that I have, any preference that I have, anything that is getting in the way of me loving my brother, you can have it, because I love you more than whatever my conflict is. I love you more than my flesh. So once we do that, God can work through that willing heart, and he could give me basically a superpower. Imagine that. I'll be the superhero of the Christian world. And what is my superpower? Being able to love an unlovable person with godly love. Isn't that cool? So try this. Say to God, God, command me to love that unlovable guy. And watch what happens. Because if we love every moment, we're going to love every moment. I'm your average Dretch, and I hope you have a great week.